Okay, so what you're seeing is you're seeing the actual GUFW interface, the graphical interface for the firewall. So let's take a look around it and see what's going on. Okay, so what we have here is, you can see the menu bar. We also see down here we see profiles. Profiles are just pre-configured setups that come with the actual system. Now, when you choose the one you want, like I'll choose home here. If you want to if you want to go ahead and use it, just select the one you want, and you can see in here the status is set to on, so we know that profile is on, and you can see just as a generic kind of catch-all, it has all incoming traffic denied and all outgoing traffic allowed. So what you're going to get right now is you're going to get a situation where any traffic that's trying to get onto the system is going to out and out stop. It just will not be allowed to proceed onto the system. However, anything that's on the system and tries to communicate off of the system, so it's outbound, that will all be allowed. So it's a one-way street. Can't come in, but you can go out. Okay, so if you didn't want to have that running, you could just go over here and say, hey, I'm turning the status to off, and if you do that, the firewall is, it's off. So that's a pretty simple thing to do. Now, if you want to modify the behavior of this profile and turn the firewall, you have to create your own rules. And rules, I have the button depressed right here, right now, and you can see there's no rules there. Okay, so the rules, you can configure them on your own, and this is something I'd really stress that you research and make sure that you know what you need to configure for your rules before you configure them, because if you don't and just start dropping stuff in there, you get to a point where the thing won't let traffic go one way or the other, or just some funky stuff starts happening, and that's not going to make your day to have to troubleshoot that. So think carefully about what it is you want to do, and even what order you want to have these things in. Okay, so with that being said, if I want to start creating rules, you do have to turn the status to off. So I do have to disable the firewall or this particular setup. You go over here, rules. If you want to create a rule, I can do it very easily. I can go over here and I want to create a rule. All I have to do is once I go ahead and do that, I'm going to say, okay, ask myself a question here. It's like, okay, do I want to have the do I want to have an application basis? Do I want to have a rule for a specific protocol? What do I need to do? And excuse me, I need to actually turn this on. I made a little kind of boo-boo there. You do need to turn the firewall on. I said off, but you do need to have it on. What you'll see is over here it says my firewall is enabled. If I click the plus sign, it brings up this box that says add a firewall rule. And what we're going to do is we can add a firewall over something very, very simple. It's not incredibly tough to do it. So if I want to tweak the rules in here, I can just go through the list and say it's a rule that's going to allow traffic, which direction, so inbound, outbound, or I can say this applies to both, and it's going to say, okay, well, what do you want to do? As far as category, I'm going to put this in my network category. Okay, so and then for my network, I'm going to the subcategory. I am going to drop it down to I think I'm going to make an SSH rule. I think I have that in there. So I've got subcategory. Where's I got this? So there's services and then application. Let's see. if I can, grab that in here. So let me go down the list. Okay, so there we go. There's SSH. So you can see it gives me a warning, on here. Some things it will give you additional instruction of things you need to do. And in this case, it's saying, hey, this may be a security risk. Use the default, allow policy. So it's saying I'm going to allow SSH from wherever to come onto the system. Not ideal to do that, but we're not worried about that here. I'm just going to go ahead and say, for the sake of configuring a rule, I am gonna, say that that's okay. If I click, if I go over here and I click add, you'll see that it's gonna add that in over on, on the screen. Let me drag this, kind of scoot this over. You can see it's going to allow it in. It's set up a IP4 and an IP6 rule accordingly. So that's kind of cool. Gone ahead and done that for us. So we like to see that. Now we can also do some other deals on here. You can really fine tune these rules to get different results. I mean, you can see on here we have allow and deny. Okay, allow is going to say, hey, come on in, boys. You can go back and forth across the firewall. Deny is going to block it in whatever direction you tell it. But then the ones that gets interesting, reject and limit. Reject is going to say, well, if a request comes from a computer someplace and it hits the system and it's not allowed to pass, it's going to send a packet back to them telling them that, hey, your traffic didn't go past. If it's denied, it isn't going to do that. If you do limit, limit is going to basically protect you against denial of services. So if you have an IP address that connects or tries to make a lot of connections in a short period of time, then the limit is going to say, well, this person's trying far too many connections in a short period of time, and it's going to say, boop, done. Okay. So that is a basic rule right there. Now you can edit these at any time just by clicking the gear icon. If you click the gear icon, it is going to edit just that one rule. So if you need to fine tune it anymore and get it to a specific interface, you can tie that down here. If your port numbers change, you can do that down here. If you want to log the service, which we're going to talk about, you want to log what's going on in that service, this is where you would do that. Okay, so once you have that going on in here, I click apply. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so I've gone through and modified it. All right, so if I want to do some more stuff with this, I can do more stuff. I do have the ability for reporting information, and there's kind of some of my my logging tell me what's going on. If you do want to do different things for the report. Okay, I see some of my stuff here on what's running and potentially talking in here. Okay, but then let's go ahead and look at one other thing. Go to file, go to edit and preferences, and over here you can set the amount of logging that is going to be done. And so you can ratchet this up all the way to full, or you could turn it off completely. So if I turn it up, well, go through it and I can say, well, how often, is it, it's gonna log everything. I can set that, and then on the listening report down here, I can say how often, if I want it to. I can crank this up and close that and say how often this list is going to be updated of things that are listening on this system for something coming in to talk to them.